to developing privacy technology. So I share those examples because many people say it's all too overwhelming. It's here, and yes, it is here. But I think that each of us can make a difference by making informed choices about what information we choose to give over. I know that for years, if I go to a doctor's office and the form said social security number, I would hand it over. And then I started reading about the fact that you don't need to do that. And I think many of us look at doctors and the government. I mean, the IRS you do have to give it to, but most times you don't. And no one's ever challenged it when I just draw a line through it. If you get a product, a refrigerator, and there's a card, a warranty card, but often you'll see they ask how many family members do you have? How much do you make a year? No need to fill that out. Get on a don't call list. There are many ways, and the Electronic Frontier Foundation and many other privacy-related websites have really practical advice that I think each of us should start being aware of the ways that your information is getting turned over with every interaction you make, and then deciding where you want to stop. So on that note, I'd love to take some questions. Yes? Meter? I think you should ask. Say, I don't feel comfortable giving out. I'm not really sure. It may be required. But I think you should ask. Challenge every time and see. Sometimes you can say, well, I could give you a line of credit. I could pay a few months in advance. Try to work out an alternative. At least try. I think the important thing to do is to question the status quo and find out where you really do have to comply. And again, I know the IRS you do, but I think depending on your state and the company, you never know. Hi. Right.
Like India, like Philippines and stuff like that, and that really pissed me off. So I don't have to give them no more information about myself and none of the people that I don't even know. And usually I request American people because I live in America, not in Philippines or in India.
You can also request to speak to a supervisor. Yeah.
And I don't, and I will not, and I cannot provide my social security.
Right. Good. Yes.
Okay, is it like, then I heard the government knew about this for a long time.
Well, yeah, I'm not as up on Heartbleed as I should. Heartbleed is a security flaw that has affected a great number, a huge number of the software in our computers. And if someone else knows more about it, you're welcome to fill in. I think the point of interest, though, is whether the government knew about it. Because we do know for a fact that the government has known about certain security flaws in software and hardware, and has at times exploited those vulnerabilities. It's difficult to get this information, but I don't think the question is from left field. Yeah, I think so, but in many states, many jurisdictions, there's been legislation saying civilians can't videotape police officers in public situations, especially when they're, for example, making an arrest. And there have been many challenges to those laws. I think that again, as we become aware of these discrepancies in terms of what the government and corporations are allowed to do, and you'll see a lot of private security guards working in, say, bookstores, and they can be officers on so-called private detail. I always go up to them and say, are you working for Barnes & Noble, but you're also a police officer? And in New York, they are. It's interesting. I think just read up in your jurisdiction to find out what the laws are. And people should protest these, in my opinion. Oh, I'm sorry. The question was, do people have equal rights in terms of surveillance? So do civilians have the same rights that police do to, say, videotape or photograph us? Can we do the same to law enforcement? And it depends on the jurisdiction. I personally think we all should. I mean, look at Rodney King and the number of incidents that's come to light because of people and, you know, taking their own videos. And I think it's interesting, in New York and the other police departments, they've taken to Twitter. And they've taken to having, you know, people posting comments about how they think the police officers are performing. And the police use new media as well. So I think that, I personally think the more information out there, the better for all of us. Hi.
Hi. Do you think that Edward Snowden should be viewed as a hero or a criminal? And should he be allowed to return with no charges to the United States?
The question was, is Ed Snowden a hero or a criminal? Should he be allowed to return? I'm a big Ed Snowden fan. Just as I'm a fan of most whistleblowers, and I think he was one, he apparently approached 10 superiors with his concerns. The response was, don't rock the boat. And I'm sorry, but I think the public has a right to know the extent to which we are having our privacy invaded. I think he's a hero. I've heard he's trying to make a plea deal to come back. I don't think the government's going to go for it, but I think he should be allowed back. Fantastic. How does the law interpret Mr. Snowden as a criminal? One who put our national security in jeopardy. And that raises the point of all the other analysts who have access to the information he did. And the fact that he was able to get the information, which I believe he screened so as not to put us in any jeopardy. But if he can do it, how many thousands of others can do it? What does that say about our security? Sir?
What do you feel about your opinion about the government using the primary information for national security? So that's always the
Yeah.
national security.
Yeah, what do I think about the government's line that they're doing it for national security? You'll see if you go back in history that during any time where the country felt the nation was somehow imperiled, that's the same line. It was James Madison, one of our founding fathers, who said, there can be no democracy when we have a state of perpetual war. I think it preys on the vulnerabilities of individuals who were hurt and sad after the events of 9/11, and I think that's bad because I think it exploits genuine heartbreak, and I think it's a lot of rhetoric. They passed the USA Patriot Act, very bad legislation, hastily. Only one or two of the legislators read that act before they put it into law, and that's what makes it possible to spy on us in many cases, to give our financial records away without probable cause. Mike German, an FBI agent who now works at the Brennan Center and had worked at the ACLU, says, you know, FBI agents need direction. They need to be told the limits of when they can open an investigation, because otherwise it's open to subjective abuse. You may not like a certain kind of person or a certain neighborhood, and that's not good law enforcement. It doesn't make us safer. Add to the fact that they have so much information. You know, many say they couldn't piece together the 9/11 attack, but as the 9/11 Commission wrote, It was just too disjointed in terms of coordination and sharing of information, and that is an atrocity. Okay.
I'm here in July publication. There was a picture that was shown about the service to the exclusive 100%. You know what I'm talking about?
Not ringing the bell.
No.
What kind of service?
There was a service for the exclusive, well, the upper 1% of the business people in the world.
Right. I'm sorry, I don't know. Security service?
Well, it's a law firm or something.
Okay, I'll have to look that up, sorry. Okay, I'll research it, sorry. Hi.
I understand that Homeland Security was really born right after 9/11 incident.
That's right.
So, my concern is how far we can go, because I have personal experience, not indirectly, not to me, but someone that used to work for me, or not for me, with me at the same place. And they work into a business without any consideration, knowing that the person who's really kind of like, they were perfect.
Look, I think we've seen a lot of lawless activities since 9/11, by police. All shrouded in the justification that it's going to make us safer. And we need law enforcement to pursue credible leads, but I think amassing the amount of data they have now makes it difficult to really follow leads as effectively as they could. So I still think we're blind.